itself.
My girlfriend and I, we really enjoyed your film. It was a fun caper flick, but there was so much going on beneath the surface.
Yeah.
So my first question for you is, working in a shared universe and also a prequel, this landscape already exists. As a storyteller, do you find that limiting, or does it free you to put your energy in other areas?
Thank you. It's a good question. I think um, I love that there is a form of structure, and and it helps me. But still, the prequel we made, um, the first steps we took, Zach and me. Zach said to me, create your own universe. This is your film, so create everything from what you wanted to tell. So I love that we had like the structure and the universe of Army of the Dead, but it was cool to give it like a more European touch. Is that right? But still, it was a lot of freedom we had to create our own world.
And I read that working with Zach was a bit nerve-wracking for you the first time you met him. I know from my own experience, sometimes you're working with someone you don't expect to be working with, and it's like you're talking. Send an email. I feel like I'm sending emails to my dad or my skills school principal. So, being at the helm of a film and having your own notes and your own opinions, what was the process like getting to a point where maybe you could tell him, I disagree with you, or I want to try my own thing?
First I have to say I was really like fan struck, like really, oh my God, this is Zack Snyder. I think the first weeks when we started shooting Army of the Dead, I just looked at him like, okay, well, I ask him for an autograph and a picture. But here, this was great because when we started prepping the film, Zach and Debbie Snyder and Wes Collard, they were always there, and we always been at the same page. We had a fantastic draft and we had a fantastic foundation to work with, So we never had this talk about, there was never a discussion about, do I disagree? And that was great because Zach was always like, oh yeah, I love that idea. Or he said, yeah, what do you think about that idea to make it that way? And I said, what do you think about that idea? And he said, yes. And I said, yes. And I can't remember a no. Maybe there was a no and I will not tell you.
And heist movies is such a prominent genre in cinema. There's so many to go through. Um, there's a school of filmmaking where I'll call it more J.J. Abrams, where people really like this thing, and I'm going to give you a version of this thing. And then there's people who try and upend what's gone before them and try and give people what they haven't seen before. Which approach did you take?
Wow, that's a that's a really good question. Really, thank you, Vic. To be honest, I think I love, to be honest, I'm open for everything, and there's no specific, I love that and that, but of course, I would love to create stuff never seen before, but still take one thing and have an interpretation of something that is similar but new. But what I tried on Army is that safe interiors, because I focused so much on the interiors of the safe and the dialogue between the one who cracks the safe and the interior, that I wanted to create something new in that world, never seen before, because I never saw a film that showed us the heart of the safe, like all the time, like you do something and it's answering.
So your character's infatuation with safes, this was like the way he nerds out over this very obscure thing is my favorite part of the movie. Early on, we see him composing YouTube videos and he only has one view, but it's not sad. It's not like he's a loser because no one's seeing his video. He has this frustration about people are just not getting him, right? And there's this message of you find your thing and you put all your love and your passion into it and you'll find your tribe. Can you kind of talk about the themes of, like finding a place where you belong in the film?
Oh, hey, Victor, cool question. Thank you. Yeah, because, I love, it has to do with my history, my family history, because I was born when the wall was still up in East Germany. So when the wall came down, I thought no borders anymore for fantasy or what you want to do in life, because it's allowed to dream big. It's allowed to have ideas. It's allowed to be someone, but you still have to work on that. And even if it's one view, that's fantastic. It's positive. It's great, And Dieter is a character, and I loved this theme and this, about that when you fight for something or when you find something you're really passionate about and you really would love to, yeah, that's your life, go for it. There's nothing to hide, you know. That's because you have only one life. You have only this chance. So and that's what I loved about the film. It's a young guy who wants to be someone and wants to be loved.
And there's a scene in the film that had me falling out of my chair. Dieter throws a punch, and it might be described as the weakest punch in cinematic history. The sound mix is just perfect. Can you talk about composing that moment?
To be honest, that was the last day of shooting, and the whole crew had to travel back to London because they were closing Britain, you know, because of COVID. So we had to be fast, and I threw this punch, and Stuart, because the sound of the punch, that's Stuart's voice. The guy who plays, and I used this sound because it was so funny. So that was the one take. We had this idea, we did it, Bob, and but thank you so much. I think it's a really funny scene. Yeah, thank you.
Anytime. Your character, there's so much flailing and squealing, and I've seen like aspects of Peter Sellers and Steve Martin in it. How do you take a character like that and you make him funny, but you don't cross the line where he's taken as a joke either?
Yeah, because I think it's always important that if you play a character, if you create a character, it must be something honest in him and something innocent you really could work with as when the audience is watching, because you need to connect. And if you are too funny or if you're too slapsticky in a scene, you know, it's too, you know, it's always, you're always on the outside. But I wanted the audience to feel with him, to understand him, because of Army of the Dead. In Army of the Dead, he's the same. So yeah.
And do you see any of yourself in this character? What's the appeal? What draws you to him? How do you connect with him?
I think, you know, I have a lot of childish parts. My inner child is like really strong. And when it comes about, you know, because I love being a filmmaker and an actor, and when this is my playground, and when when I'm allowed to play on the playground, I love to play. So and I think I am always very empathetic, and I love that, you know, to look there, look, and there's this, and the tree, and the ba, and I think these parts in Dieter, they have to do a lot with my life. Yeah.
And can we expect more stories about Dieter?
I would love to tell more stories about Dieter, so we need to cross fingers, break a leg that after this film, Dieter will be a next Halloween, a costume, you know, where people go on the street with bracelets and everything, and they look like Dieter. So let's cross fingers that we have more Dieter.
When he first appeared in Army of the Dead, it's this huge, very colorful, assembled cast, and Dieter was the breakthrough character. Can you talk about people's reaction to that, and how you feel about people just having such a strong connection to Dieter out of that wild cast?
Yeah, I never thought about that Dieter will be like something breakthrough in that film, because I love the whole team, and but I was really proud that the people really thought, hey, this German guy is really funny. It's a German who is really funny, and I love to be the comedic relief, you know, and I was like really like proud of that. So, but I think because he is different, people connect with him. You know, he's not wearing a gun, or he's not very like a super strong, but he has something special, and he's the guy you want to meet, but you don't want him to live in your apartment. You know, it's like you know, like yeah, it has something to do, you know, a bit like, what's the film with The Apartment with Walter Matthau and
yes.
Yeah,
I know the one you mean.
Yeah, and this is the guy, you know, who always is like being crazy, but I was so happy that the world loved Dieter, really.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on an excellent film.
Victor, thank you for your fantastic questions. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Great questions. Thank you.